Good afternoon, everyone. This is Christine with Christine's DIY at Home. And today I'm going to show you how to make my dough to make homemade Hot Pockets, homemade pizza. I'm actually going to make pizza with it today. My husband and my son absolutely love this pizza recipe and my dough. So let's get started. What you will need: 4 cups of flour. I use organic white flour for this, unbleached. 1.5 cups of lukewarm water, almost hottish, like 110 degrees. A little bit of sea salt and a little bit of organic table sugar, and 1 packet of instant dry yeast. Now I also have a recipe to make my dough using sourdough starter. So look for that one coming soon because I haven't made that video yet, but that pizza recipe is out of this world. Delicious as well as really healthy for you. So today I'm going to make this one because this is my quick recipe for pizza and Hot Pockets and whatever. So I'm going to use my blender because it makes it much easier to mix the dough. So 4 cups of flour, and put the yeast packet in here right now. And I always cut it over the bowl because you always get that little yeast kind of falling all over the place here. I just stick it right in there. Okay. And then a little bit of sea salt. I use about 1/4 teaspoon. And then about 1 tablespoon of organic table sugar. You can also use coconut sugar, which I've done before, or maple sugar, which is maple syrup just converted into granular sugar. Both of them are organic. Both of them work great. I use a tiny bit more if I'm using the organic maple sugar or the organic coconut sugar than I use with organic table sugar. So if I'm using 1 tablespoon of this, I use about 1 tablespoon plus another teaspoon of the maple sugar or coconut sugar. And then you add the water right in, set it right up onto your blender. There we go. Put the dough hook on. Okay. I am going to just let this mix it all together, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so we've been letting the dough rise for about 15 minutes now. So what you're going to do, take it out of the bowl and just kind of flop it over here onto the counter on parchment paper, okay? Because that way it won't stick. You're still going to need some dough, some flour to put down to roll it on. So what you're going to do is take a good amount of flour. So you need a good amount. Put it right out there. Now I'm going to separate it into 2. And make sure you get a lot of flour in your hands too, because it's very sticky. See, it's already sticking to the paper, and you have to really kind of put it all on flour. Make sure you keep your hands floured, because very sticky dough, which is what you want. You don't want it to be too hard, you don't want it to be too soft, you want it to be just like this. So if you keep your hands floured, you'll be able to get it, use all the dough here, scrape it all off there. Okay. Keep it all nice and floured, keep your hands floured. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, see how nice and soft it is? Oh, it's awesome. Okay, I'm going to flour the other one too. So I can put it over the extra piece over there. I'm going to make one large pizza, and I also like to make a bunch of small pizzas because they like the personal pizzas as well. So just put one clump over there. Keep your hands floured. Keep the dough floured. And you just want to start spreading it out. So I'm going to use a rolling pin, which you also want to flour. Okay. I'm just going to kind of turn this over because I like to put that right on the edge of the counter so it doesn't move. And just roll the dough. Roll it out nice and flat. You don't want it to be too thick, because when it's too thick, then you end up with this really thick sandwichy type of crust, which if you like that, fine, you know, but we tend to like it a thinner crust. Just keep rolling it out. And this is going to make a bunch of little pizzas. They don't have to be round. Ours are never round. There are all kinds of different shapes. You can even make heart shapes, specific shapes, whatever you want. Just keep everything floured up so nothing sticks. Oops, see, like that. It just sticks right away. Keep everything floured. There we go. All right, I think that's thin enough. Put a little bit more flour in my hands so I can make sure it's all thin. You don't want any real thin areas on the edges because then it ends up burning. So what we're going to do, the oven has been preheating to 350 degrees. Okay, so what I'm going to do is take a pizza cutter here and divide this into 4 pizzas. And that makes 4 personal sized pizzas for them. And then I just kind of take the edges and kind of make them a little bit thicker right on the edges. That holds the sauce in. It gives you a nice crust to hold on to. Okay. Just like that. That's all you gotta do. And I also make the pizza sauce homemade. The only thing I don't make is the cheese and the pepperonis. But, you know, just buy the organic ones and you'll be all set. Okay. Now the next step, you're actually going to pre-bake the crust. Because if you don't pre-bake the crust, when you put all the toppings on it and then try to bake it, the crust doesn't cook as fast. And it ends up being kind of limp and still doughy. So what I do is take a little bit of extra virgin olive oil and I just brush the dough with it. Make sure you get the edges really good so they don't burn. Okay, get the edges really good. All the pieces, you want to just brush the edges. Right, not too much. You don't want to saturate it with the oil. Just want to do it just good enough to really get everything covered with a fine film of the oil, especially the edges. Okay, and as soon as you're done with that, you're going to put them on your baking sheet, pizza stone, whatever you use. I like to use the pizza stone. Keeps the heat all nice and even. And I also put parchment paper on the baking stone because that way it doesn't stick to the baking stone either. Because even though it shouldn't stick to the baking stone, this dough is so soft that it actually can stick to the baking stone. So you want to just kind of pick it up. See how thin I did it? You really want to do it kind of that thin. But however, I'm not a good pizza flipper in the air. I did try that. It didn't work out so well. So I use a rolling pin. And I'm just going to do 2 of these at a time. Pick them right up and put them right on the baking stone. And then you're going to put them in the oven and just bake them until they get just very light golden. and it's about probably 15 minutes on a 350-degree oven. So now that you've seen how to do it, I'm going to go ahead and finish up the rest of it. This is going to be, probably end up being 2 decent-sized pizzas, and then I'll finish baking each one of these. You're going to do the same exact thing to this that you did to the first dough. Roll it out to whatever sizes you want, or one big one if you want. Put that extra virgin olive oil all over it. Bake it in the oven for about 15 minutes. And then what you're going to do is let it cool, and then I'll be back, okay? Let me set this for about 15, and I'll see you in 15 minutes. Okay, so I have already pre-cooked the dough in the oven on 350 degrees for approximately 15-20-ish minutes, just to give it a little bit of a golden brown so it's a nice firm base for the pizza. Because again, if you try to take the uncooked pastry dough and put sauce and cheese and everything on it, the dough doesn't really cook in the middle. It stays kind of mushy and stuff, and then you get kind of a floppy pizza. So I pre-cook the pizza shell basically, and then we just add our sauce to it. And of course I will make my sauce, but you can use any type of pizza sauce, any spaghetti sauce that you like. And you just spread it all around on there. Try to get it on to all of the edges. Alright. Oh, this smells great, looks great. And you can put as much sauce on it as you like. We don't put too much sauce on ours. You get all the sauce on nice and spread out. Then you just put the cheese on. Just sprinkle it all over. I've already shredded the cheddar cheese. I buy it by the block because it stays fresh. It's really good that way. Okay. So your cheese, and then you just put your pepperonis on there. However many you like a lot of pepperoni, just like a few pepperonis. It's up to you. You can put ham on it, you can put mushrooms, green peppers, whatever you like on your pizza. It doesn't have to be pepperoni, but that's the boys' favorite. And that's it. And then you just put that in an oven under, well, if you're going to freeze it, which sometimes I do, I put it in a plastic Ziploc bag, and I just write on it 350 degrees for 15 to 20 minutes, if you're going to freeze it like this. Otherwise, if you're just going to cook it right away right now, I put it under a low broiler because the shell's already cooked. It just got cooked, so it's already still a little bit warm. And so I just want to melt the cheese and cook the pepperonis up a little bit. So I'm going to do that now, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. And about, under the broiler low, probably 5 minutes is all it's going to take. So I'll see you in 5.